Hello, hello, good evening. So today was supposed to be a wind down Wednesday, and my guest has a little one, and her little one is sick. And so, because her little one is sick and not feeling well, she will have to join next week. And so, we will have an informal conversation about how we are doing at this moment. And if my guest was here, I was going to be really engaging in some wines that are zero alcohol or no alcohol. But since it's just us today, I am having some Chardonnay from Ontario because I just got back from Ontario. And I think today's conversation, I hope, will be useful. And I hope as folks come into the space that you will help me have this conversation about how are you taking care of yourself and how are you doing at this moment as we are dealing with a new transition and a new leadership change. And really just want to be honest that I spent this whole weekend away, not in the US on purpose. I chose to go to Toronto because that was the closest place I could get to, but also be out of the earshot of all of the news cycles. And it was wonderful. I was able to go with a sorority sister who was also ready to get up out of here. And we decided to just kind of lay low and focus on our own self and our own wellness. And yet, got back, and this morning it felt like all hell had broken loose. There were emails and Slacks and phone calls and everything, just how we're going to deal with what's happening with this executive order, with that executive order. So even though I chose to get away for a little bit, you can't get away. You really just can't get away. So I decided in my pivot moment to talk about just 5 ways for us to be in this moment, to support our own wellness, and to lean into the fact that this is going to be a long one. And we shouldn't be surprised. We really should not be surprised. He showed us along the campaign trail who he was going to be and how he was going to show up. And so now it's just how will we manage and how will we deal with this? So before I get fully started into my conversation with you, let me introduce you to the channel. I'm Dr. Davia. Welcome to Not All the Things. This is a space for success-driven, mature women of color. This is a space where we can talk about work-life balance, wellness, and wine. And definitely today will be a wellness and maybe a wine conversation as we go. If you are new here, please think about subscribing. I'm trying to grow my subscriptions and I'm hoping to get to 200. Was at 1 and now I'm at like 120. And so, yeah, I'm pushing every month or two to raise it up by 100. So that's my goal. If you are coming back, thank you for joining again. And I do hope that this conversation will be of use to you. I know it's going to be cathartic for me. So let's get started. Oh, thank you, Gina. You opened a Brunello. Let me just see who's here. Ah, Gina's here. She opened a Brunella. It was quite a day. Indeed, it was. And feel free to talk about what it was like for you. One of the things that I just want to lead off with is the first thing that we have to do when we're in this moment is to acknowledge and process the feelings that we're having. I really love to just kind of hide out and not deal with my feelings. That's probably why I have alopecia and have always had alopecia, because I keep a lot of things on the inside. And when you keep a lot of things on the inside, it shows out in another way. And so validating emotions that we are all having is really going to be necessary. I realize that this is uncertain times, and definitely people have a lot of anger and anxiety. I had a workshop today with my team, and we were supporting some early childhood mentors, and they were definitely feeling better than we were. We thought they were going to come in and they were going to be not willing to engage in the content, and they were ready to go. They were like, listen, we are feeling a lot of big feelings, but at this moment, this is the only time we have, so we are going to press forward. And so I appreciate that. So who else is here? I see Alex is here. She's having tea today. Okay, are you under the weather? That's not like you be having tea. And Miles, let's see, what are you having? Oh, you having root beer? Okay, that works. Annette, you deciding between tea and a grapefruit beer? Girl, don't let me tell you, get that grapefruit beer. Mm, that's just a personal preference, of course. And then Kristen, you're having a salsa? That's not boring. That could work. You could spice it up with a little white wine, and you'll have a spritzer. So, yes, Kristen is saying that she's never had a grapefruit beer, but I'm pretty sure she has. We might have had one together, to be quite honest. Anyway, my second thought around acknowledging and processing feelings is that we can't really hide from how we're feeling, even when we try, and that it comes out. Either it comes out in the way that we interact with other people. Um, it may come out in how we show up in conversations and in relationships. And so either we acknowledge and process it out loud, we journal it to write about it, but if we don't deal with it, it will deal with us. And so that's kind of where we are right now with that acknowledging. Deciding on what to pour right now. Nicole, do what you need to do. You need tea or salsa, as Kristen would say, or root beer, or white wine, or spritzer. Do whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself. And I feel like that needs to be our ongoing conversation. The other thing that I was thinking about is that we need to try and stay grounded through some kind of a routine and some self care. So, whatever our normal daily plans are, if we can keep to our structures and our routines, it may help to center us. Because what happens is when we're all thrown off because of the news cycle and because of what's happening around us, it totally gets us thrown off. So by just keeping a routine and staying grounded, that might offer us the self-care that we need. Trying to prioritize sleep, trying to make sure we're eating healthy, and trying to do our regular exercise, whatever that looks like for you. If it's walking, although it has been brick as brick can be, but whatever that is to keep you in a mindful space and in a structure that feels that you have control of that structure, I think is really important. I noticed while we were away in Toronto, I slept like a baby those 3 days. And then the day we were about to travel back, I had a fitful sleep. I did stretch those first 3 days, and then that night I didn't, right? I didn't do something that I normally do. I usually go to sleep with meditation, or the meditation's playing and I'm asleep. Either way, I just put it on so that it helps me to in my evening. And I realized that I was so tired, I didn't put on my meditation. I don't know if that had anything to do with the kind of sleep I got. Maybe it was being anxious about coming home and knowing that the news cycle was going to be on. Not that I'm engaging in it, but it's just ever present. Um, and so I'd love to hear what are some of the routines that you all are using for yourself that are keeping you grounded and keeping you um, just focused. Oh, Alex, you're doing your morning yoga? That's fantastic. Oh, Gina, That's wonderful. Hmm. Let's put that back up for a second. Yeah, the parents and the emails from the school about protecting themselves and for their kids. Yes, there's a lot of that. Mr. Nick Franklin, you in the house? You sipping some kombucha? That's a new routine. Yeah. Do you think they're getting those emails in Franklin Lakes? I think they might be. I think there are some families in different places, even if they're in the communities that are not as dysregulated as we are right now. I think they might absolutely be getting them. Um, yes. Exercising with your friends, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Getting up and walking and running. Yes, it definitely got cold. It's been cold. Yeah, I think another thing is to minimize watching the news cycle. You know, we know that if that is a trigger for you, definitely minimizing it. I really have not had any news, but I definitely said for myself today that I have to be more aware than I care to be, because those executive orders that impact education are going to have an impact on the people that we service. And so if I and my team have to support teachers and families, then I have to be all aware. So I woke up actually with a new vigor of like, oh, I'm not gonna let him scare me. I don't give a about that. I'm gonna make sure that I know what I need to know to support my families, my teachers, and anybody else who needs it. So as much as I don't want to be in it, I'm gonna be all the way in it because that's the only way at this point. Yes, stretching our mind and our body. There's a lot of stretching. And I would say deep breathing, just taking that deep breath and saying, all right, let me just regulate how I'm feeling. So, connecting with community, I feel, is another way that we manage at this moment when things are so topsy turvy. And I think I really wasn't expecting to come here and have to have this conversation, but it is an example of a way to connect with community. It's a way to find supportive spaces, and as much as we can do that for each other and also offer that space to others, I think we need to do that. And so, trying to participate in groups that are aligned with our values, and maybe we are not the only ones feeling the way we're feeling. And so the more we can be in community with each other, we get strength from that, right? And so figuring out how to volunteer. Gina, you've been doing a good service delivering food, and that has been helpful. But this definitely needing to be in community and finding community is really, really important. And I appreciate you all showing up for me today, because I was like, pivot. I'm pivoting, and I would love some people to be in this space with me as I process out loud and as I share how I'm doing at this moment. And I'm feeling definitely more connected and glad that you all are here. So I am very, very thankful for my friends. Very thankful for my friends. And yeah, just knowing that we can lean on each other. Um, this weekend, me and my sister, we just sat and we talked, and we really were trying to make sense of how does one be as, you know, non-informed and as rotten to the core and still get in, and then gets in and then does exactly what he said he was going to do, right? What he was going to try and do. And so, there's a lot to be said around being with others who understand how you're feeling and who are processing out loud with you. It definitely kind of helps you in some way. And yes, less social media in the news because it is not well with our spirit to do that. I will say focusing on what you can control is another way to manage during these times. Not everything is in our control, but what we can control, we can. And that was the message that I was trying to convey to my team today, is that we can get in our head, we can catastrophize, but all we can do right now is to understand what's in front of us and do as much as we can. Be with organizations that are fighting the good fights, be a part of an advocacy, offer information to families and communities and to friends if they don't know what they should be saying. I had a coach ask me today, if I go to a school and ICE shows up at the school, what's my role? I don't work for the school. I work for Bank Street. But what is my job to put myself in that space? And I said, we need to really come up with a plan for what that's supposed to be, because we don't know yet. We only know what the guidance is, and that's the guidance that we have to lean into. So in the upcoming weeks, I will make sure to bring some of that content here. No, it's not personal wellness, but it's professional wellness, and it's important also. So, what are ways, and I'll just ask you, that you are focusing in on what you can control? If there are things that you are doing, that you are managing, go ahead and share that in the comments, because that'll be useful. Even if it's not for the folks in this space, but it's for the folks who watch the replay, they will be able to read the comments, and so that could be helpful. One other thought is to continue to cultivate gratitude in what we're doing on a daily basis, and continue to reflect on what's going well, because in all of what's going wrong, there will be something that's good, and there will be something that is going well, and we have to maintain that kind of perspective. I know I'm an optimist, a dying breed, but I think it's important to be optimistic even in gray days, because there's always light to be found, and we have to find the slither of light, find the sliver of positivity, and look for that and use that. Gina said she's seeking out better news sources. Yes, Substack and great investigative writing. Yes, you had shared that with us. So if folks are unfamiliar with Substack, that is definitely another way. I would say, my husband always says, make sure you understand the enemies that you have and keep them close while you are going for other outlets. So we may have to read some of the nonsense so that we can have an awareness while we are looking for other credible sources. Yes, and also highlight what you find to others. Definitely share out loud with other people what you are finding, and making sure it comes from a credible source, because there's going to be so much misinformation out there. It's a little bit unnerving to think that. But we should think about how we not only locate these credible news sources, but share what we're finding. I also think that we should be seeking professional support if we need it. If this weight that we are feeling gets too heavy, time to seek out some counseling, time to go to therapy, time to talk to someone. If your community can't do it for you, if you can't manage for yourself, then I don't think there's anything wrong with us seeking out some professional support as we are trying to just keep making it, because really, sometimes you cannot do this alone. And with the amount of changes that are happening so rapidly, every minute it's like breaking news, breaking news. It's like a really bad SNL skit. There's like another thing happening. You might need to seek professional help. And, I say that for myself and anyone else who's like, you know what? I might want to talk to someone so that you can process your feelings out loud. And I think if that's needed, go ahead and do that. One of the things I'm going to continuously do is to use my affirmations and to affirm positivity as much as possible. I have to lean into that. I think there's some people like to be in support groups so that they can manage their anxiety within a group. I would say my community of sister friends is my support group, but there are actual groups that are for that. And so that might be helpful for some. Yes, Alex, daily reflection, mindfulness, and gratefulness. No, Gina, I am not going to do that. I am not going to do that for sure. But some people might. Some people might actually do so. And then I always share one additional thought. And, I've already started to lean into this, but to hold on to hope and positivity. I am a Christian. I am a person who believes. I am a faith based person, and I will be praying because that's what I know how to do. I saw my grandmother do it. I think she felt it made a difference. It definitely made a difference in her life and in my life. She prayed for me. She's still covering us in her prayers, and so I will do that. But I will also hold on to hope, and I will hold on to positivity because I have to look for small victories in all of the craziness. That's really the only way I know how to be. And I have to try and stay inspired. I have to definitely reach out to people who are inspiring, listening to podcasts and music, and yes, all of that that makes you feel joy and whole and love. Absolutely. So having that daily music and having um, laughter, all of that definitely will matter. Hey, Dr. Kishi. Yes, good music, breath work, travel planning, and being active. I love to travel plan. I was on my way back from Ontario and looking on my phone to see where I could go next because just the planning, it doesn't make me crazy. It makes a lot of people crazy. But the planning gets me excited about the traveling and the being. And so just looking for joy, and just being women coming together and looking for joy because we are going to need each other. Not that men can't join in, but this might be a little sisterhood thing for sure. I would also say, and thank you, Dr. Kishi, for showing up. Oh, Gina, I try to come from a place of love. I try. I really, I try. I do want to cuss people out at times, but that doesn't help me. And it doesn't make this situation any better. So I feel like bringing the light and bringing the love just seems to be better. And I will say the other thing that we can do is just affirm that we are good people and that we have a lot to offer and that not everybody has to be an a-hole, right? And that we can show up with love and that will matter in our locus of control. That will absolutely matter. So I'm not sure how everyone is feeling fully. I know folks are in all kinds of ways, feeling all kinds of ways, but how we're doing at this moment, if we could continue to think about one, acknowledging and processing our feelings, staying grounded through some kind of routine and self-care, connecting with our community, focusing on what we can control, seeking professional support if we need it, and then holding on to hope and positivity, that might be enough to take us really day by day. This is a day by day situation. Definitely a day by day. And yes, Alex was yeah, she was on a beach in Mexico. Yes, I know you wanted to stay. Yes, we are all back here, but I felt the same way. And when I got on the phone yesterday with one of my girlfriends, she was like, "Why do you sound like that?" And I was like, "Not because I don't want to talk to you, but I just don't want to be in this mess. I really don't." So, as much as we can realize that we can only get away for a little bit, but the truth is we have to have some coping skills and we have to have some ways to manage that keep us going. And so I'm very appreciative of all of you here, willing to come, willing to show up, willing to make community for each other. Um, and that really helps me. Oh, Gina. Oh, oh, Gina. Don't even ask what I would do, because sometimes what I would do is like just not enough. Not enough. But we do the best we can, right? With what we have. So I appreciate you all. Continue to take care of yourselves. Continue to try and manage your stress. Continue to look for ways to be in community and continue to affirm yourself and know that, we are good people. We come from a good place. And even when there's evil out there, there's still, I do believe there's still good in folks. And we can be the community that we need for each other. So thank you so much for showing up for each other. And remember not to do all the things, because we can't keep doing all the things. And I just want to cheers to you all. Cheers, ladies. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Remember, take it one day at a time. Okay. Have a good one. Hey. Fly like me, PhD. Thank you, sis. Cheers. Yes, everything went well. Thank you.